Picture this: Earth, 12,000 years ago. The Great Ice Age is ending, and the world is waking up. This isn't the world we know. This is a land of giants, shaped by ice and time. And something truly enormous lives here. The Columbian mammoth. Bigger than any elephant today, they were the kings of this lost world. They weren't just animals. They were the architects of this entire ecosystem.
But the kings had competition. Predators here were on a whole different scale.
Life was everywhere, and it was big. This was the Pleistocene megafauna. And across this now vanished land bridge, a new force was about to arrive.
Our ancestors. The first people to set foot in the Americas.
They weren't just exploring. They were looking for a home.
Their journey was unbelievably tough, through a landscape that was both beautiful and deadly. Every track, every sign in the dirt told a story. They had to learn to read this new world fast.
Finding shelter was the first priority every single day.
And fire. Fire was everything. It was warmth, it was safe, it was life. For a moment, in the vast, dangerous wilderness, they had a small pocket of home.
But survival meant more than just staying warm. It meant hunting.
And they had a revolutionary piece of tech to help them do it. This is the Clovis Point. It was more than a spearhead. It was a masterpiece of Stone Age engineering. This groove, the flute, was their unique innovation, a signature of their culture.
And facing a mammoth? That took more than technology. It took a team.
Of course, life wasn't just about the big hunt. Every calorie counted.
Knowledge was passed down from one generation to the next. This was their school.
The people here lived in the shadow of giants.
And they watched them. They learned their habits, their movements, their family bonds. This is the beginning of the hunt, a dangerous dance of strategy and stealth.
And they weren't the only ones watching. In this world, everyone was both hunter and hunted.
From up here, you can almost see the forces at play, the tension between all these different lives.
Every moment was about creating what you needed to survive, using only what the land provided.
And children learned by doing, practicing the skills they'd need to live here.
The plan wasn't to face the whole herd. It was to use the landscape to isolate one of them. Patience was their greatest weapon. They could wait for hours, for days if they had to.
Because a mammoth kill would attract every predator for miles around.
The moment is coming. Adrenaline, focus, and fear all mixed together.
They're not looking for the biggest one. They're looking for the one that's young, old, or isolated.
And with a single nod, the plan is set in motion.
The first step, create chaos. Separate the target from the safety of the herd.
It's a huge risk. A stampeding mammoth is one of the most dangerous forces on the planet.
Now they have it. A one-on-one confrontation is still incredibly dangerous, but at least the odds are better.
And even a young mammoth is a formidable opponent. This is where the real battle begins. The hunters know they're on a clock. A fight like this is like a dinner bell for every super predator around.
This is the atlal, a spear thrower. It acts as an extension of the arm, allowing them to throw a spear with incredible speed and force.
It was the pinnacle of projectile technology for its time. A true game changer. But against a target this big and powerful, even a perfect shot could fail. And a panicked mammoth is a force of nature. One mistake could be your last. Incredible agility. They knew its movements, its blind spots, and how to use them.
This was the plan. Use one hunter as a distraction to create an opening for another.
A hit. Not deep enough to be fatal, but it draws first blood.
They're incredibly smart animals. It knows exactly what it needs to do.
Now, they wait again. The goal is to wear the animal down, not to get into a brawl with it. And you realize, this isn't just a beast. This is a family member they're fighting.
They understood these animals. They knew the cost of what they were doing.
The hunters use this distraction. While its attention is divided, they prepare to strike again.
A coordinated attack. The key was to overwhelm its ability to defend itself.
Another solid hit. Now the damage is starting to add up.
A wounded animal is the most dangerous of all. This is the moment of maximum risk.
They melt back into the landscape that they know so well. They're using their home field advantage. The blood loss and the exertion are taking their toll. The hunter's strategy is working. Now, for the most dangerous part of the hunt. The final approach. This required a different kind of courage. Not of speed, but of nerve. In this moment, there's a connection. A recognition between the hunter and the hunted. A swift, precise, and humane end to a long and difficult struggle. Even in its final moments, the animal's sheer size makes it dangerous.
The fall of a giant. A sound that would echo through this valley for generations.
And then, silence. The brutal, adrenaline-fueled dance is over.
This wasn't just meat. This was a spirit, an equal, and they treated it with reverence.
A signal to the rest of the group. Life would go on. The family would eat.
Because a successful hunt meant more than just food. It meant safety. It meant the future.
The physical and emotional toll of a hunt like this is hard to even imagine. But there's no time to rest. The kill is only the beginning. Now, the real work starts. Processing an animal that weighed over 8 tons would take days, and every single part would be used.
And they have to work fast. A kill this big sends an invitation to every scavenger in the territory.
The mammoth's skin alone, several inches thick, was both a challenge and a priceless resource.
The wolves are coming. They know a feast is waiting, but they also know they'll have to fight for it.
The entire community gets involved. This single animal will sustain all of them. So one person always has to stand guard. The danger isn't over just because the hunt is. This is what it was all for. Hundreds of pounds of protein-rich meat.
Imagine seeing this as a child. A lesson in the scale of the world and your place in it.
They would work through the night, under the protection of fire.
Nothing, absolutely nothing would be wasted. The sinew becomes thread, the bones become tools, the hide becomes shelter.
This one mammoth will feed the people, the wolves, the lions, the vultures, its life giving life to the entire valley.
The work didn't stop for a moment. They had to process the meat before it spoiled and before predators became too bold.
Preserving the meat was just as important as the hunt itself. Smoking it like this could make it last for months.
And inside the bones was the marrow, a superfood packed with fat and calories, essential for surviving the cold.
For the children, it was a rare and delicious treat, a taste of security. The hide was one of the greatest prizes. It was a ready-made roof for a shelter, clothing for a family.
But turning a raw hide into usable leather was a long, grueling process that required incredible skill.
Even the contents of the stomach were valuable, a source of pre-processed plant matter, vitamins, and even emergency tinder.
And then there were the tusks, the ivory. This wasn't for food, but for art, for tools, and for ceremony.
This is the payoff. After days of hunger and hard work, the first taste of the feast. This abundance meant they didn't have to move on right away. For a few weeks, this small spot could truly be home.
With a bounty of hide and sinew, they could finally repair old clothes and make new ones, preparing for the winter ahead.
The bones were a toolkit in the making. Needles, awls, spearheads, even parts of shelter frames.
And with full bellies came time for stories. Time to pass on the traditions and lessons of their people.
This is how you learn what it means to be brave, what it means to respect the animals, what it means to be one of the people.
Art, a way to process the experience, to honor the mammoth's spirit, to create something of lasting beauty. It's a reminder that these were not just primitive survivors. They were creative, thoughtful, spiritual human beings, just like us. And sometimes, stories and carvings weren't enough. They needed to make a more permanent record. Using charcoal for black and iron oxides for reds and yellows, they turned these walls into sacred canvases.
This is more than just a picture. It's a prayer, a memory, a portal to the spirit world.
A handprint, a way of saying, I was here, we were here, we remember this.
But while the people thrived, the world itself was changing. The great thaw was accelerating.
The vast, open grasslands the mammoths depended on were shrinking, replaced by thick forests.
For the giants, this changing world was becoming a trap.
The people, however, were masters of adaptation. As the world changed, so did they.
The mammoth had given them more than just food. It had given them a technological and cultural leap forward.
They learned. They innovated. Every hunt provided the raw materials for the next. They kept moving, following the animals, exploring deeper into this vast, empty continent.
But the animals were changing too. The age of giants was slowly giving way to a world that looks much more familiar.
And the great predators, specialists in hunting megafauna, were finding it harder and harder to survive. As for the mammoth, its body had returned to the earth, feeding countless life forms, a final, crucial gift to the ecosystem. As the world warmed, the climate grew drier in some places, wetter in others. The reliable water sources their ancient maps, etched into memory over generations, were becoming useless. The world was breaking its promises. But where the giants saw crisis, the people saw opportunity. They were learning to harvest new resources, like the rivers teeming with fish. Their toolkit was evolving, becoming more specialized for this new, more diverse world. The great mammoth hunts became rarer and rarer. The people began to focus on the smaller, more numerous grazers. They developed new, incredibly sophisticated strategies, using their knowledge of the land to hunt on a massive scale. For a while, human ingenuity and the stress of a changing climate worked in tandem. The pressure on the great animals was immense. The great hunters of the Pleistocene were becoming ghosts. Their world and their food source had disappeared from under them. Whether it was the changing climate, the pressure from human hunters, or a combination of both, the result was the same.
The age of giants was over.
But the people endured. They carried the memory of the giants with them, using their very bones to build their new lives.
The mammoth was gone from the land, but it would never be gone from their stories, their art, or their memory.
They were learning about the world that was, to understand the world that is. And they didn't just survive the change, they thrived in it. They spread across the 2 continents, from the Arctic to the tip of South America.
They became the ancestors of all the indigenous peoples of the Americas, creating thousands of unique cultures.
They had walked out of one world and into another, armed with courage, community, and ingenuity. They had witnessed the end of the Ice Age and the passing of the Titans.
A lost world that exists now only in the rock, in the ice, and in the stories we tell.
It's a powerful reminder that nothing is permanent, and that the story of life on Earth is one of constant, dramatic change.
The hunt is over. But honestly, the work is just beginning. You can't comprehend the size of these animals until you're standing right next to one. The hunt is over. But honestly, the work is just beginning. You can't comprehend the size of these animals until you're standing right next to one.
There was this deep respect. Taking a life this massive was a serious act, and you can see them acknowledging the sacrifice the animal made.
And now, the call goes out. Everyone needs to know, because it's going to take the entire community to handle this.
Back at camp, it's all hands on deck. This single animal will feed, clothe, and supply them for weeks.
That hide is several inches thick, tougher than leather. You need incredibly sharp, well-made tools just to make the first incision.
It's like an assembly line, 12,000 years ago. Everyone has a job, and they have to work together. Otherwise, they went for the organs first. These were packed with vitamins and nutrients you couldn't get from muscle meat alone. To them, this was the best part.
This knowledge was passed down through generations. Nock isn't just butchering, he's teaching, ensuring these skills are never lost.
The scale is just mind-blowing. They're harvesting hundreds, maybe thousands of pounds of meat. It's a treasure trove of calories.
Even the kids had a role. They're preparing the sinew, which will become thread for sewing, bowstrings, and lashing for tools and spears.
From above, you can really see the efficiency. It might look chaotic, but every single action has a purpose. Nothing will be left behind. Fat was fuel. It was a critical source of energy, could be rendered into tallow for lamps, or mixed with meat to preserve it. It was pure gold. Look at his face. That's the look of a man who knows his family will be safe and well-fed. That is the ultimate success. And now, the long haul begins. They have to move this entire mountain of resources back to camp before scavengers arrive.
You have to realize there are no carts, no beasts of burden. Every single pound of this animal has to be carried back by humans. The arrival back at camp is a moment of pure joy and relief. This food means they've won. They've beaten the odds for another season.
With a bounty this big, you need a fire to match. This will be for cooking, for warmth, and for keeping the nighttime predators at a safe distance.
They wouldn't wait. The best parts, the ones that spoil the fastest, were cooked and eaten right away.
This is the original barbecue, on a scale that's hard to imagine. The smell alone must have been unbelievable after. They also had other cooking techniques. This is a pit oven. It traps the heat and moisture, slow cooking the meat until it's incredibly tender.
That's the payoff right there. That moment when the next generation gets the nourishment they need. This is what it's all for.
For the first time in days, the constant grinding tension of survival is gone. They can just rest, eat. You have to think, for a kid growing up in the Ice Age, a feast like this is the greatest feeling in the world.
And now, the hunt becomes a story. This is history, entertainment, and a lesson all rolled into one.
This is their school. They're learning what it takes, what courage looks like, and how to work as a team. The story ensures the culture survives. Excellence. The tusks were more than just bone. They were a symbol, a trophy, a constant reminder of the giant they overthrew. That fire was a tiny island of warmth and light in a vast, wild darkness. It was their shield against...
This is the feeling of absolute security. Her child is safe, warm, and has a full belly.
Home. It wasn't a place so much as a feeling. It was this little pocket of safety they called
Easters. So after the celebration, the real work starts. This is a race against time. They have to preserve all...
They're building a smoker. It's a simple, but brilliant, piece of technology. The structure has to be sturdy enough to hold hundreds of pounds of meat.
Pinchest. The key is to cut the meat into thin strips. This maximizes the surface area, allowing it to dry faster and absorb...
You can just see their food security for the next few months hanging right there. Each strip is a future meal, a day they don't have to worry about going hungry.
It's a cool smoke. The goal isn't to cook it, but to dehydrate it and infuse it with compounds from the smoke that prevent bacteria from growing.
In a dry, windy climate, you can also just let the sun and air do the work. This jerky would be lightweight, packed with protein.
And they don't waste the fat either. This is being prepped for rendering. They're going to turn it into a versatile, high-energy resource. Since they can put a basket directly on the fire, they bring the fire to the basket. Dropping in hot stones is an incredibly effective... Just look at the size of that thing. That is not just a hide, that is the roof and walls of a future home.
This is exhausting, repetitive work that could take days. They had to scrape it perfectly clean, otherwise the hide would rot and be useless.
The bones were a treasure trove. But the real prize was locked inside, the marrow.
And crack. Just like that. That marrow is one of the most calorie-dense foods on the planet. An incredible boost of energy.
Nothing goes to waste, and the kids get the first taste. It's like an Ice Age superfood, full of vitamins and essential fats for a growing brain. The hunt was a success, but some spears were broken. The toolkit always needs replenishing. It all starts with choosing the right stone.
And that is the sound that built the future. Every crack is a choice, a calculated risk. This
is where the magic happens. The big blows get the rough shape, but these tiny, precise flakes create those icons. And there it is, a perfect weapon. Efficient, deadly, and a thing of beauty. This tool changed everything for Ice Age hunters. Every point has to be perfect. Their lives literally depended on these tools. There was no room for error or second best. Brain tanning. It sounds wild, but it's incredibly effective. The enzymes in the brains break down the fibers, making the...
This is tailoring, 12,000 years ago. These bone awls were precision tools, essential for creating...
The sinew, remember that? Dried and twisted, it's incredibly strong. And these needles, often made...
And this is the result. Clothing that's not just functional, but skillfully made. It was the ultimate...
Every bone had a potential use. The long, straight ones for tools, the smaller ones for needles, or even...
This isn't just about survival. It's about art. They brought beauty into their world, telling stories and These weren't just trinkets. They were often powerful symbols, perhaps for good luck in the hunt, or representing their connection to the animal world.
Playtime wasn't just fun, it was practice. The kids are learning the roles they'll eventually take on, honing their observation skills, even if they don't know it.
The hafting is crucial. A perfect point is useless if it comes off during the hunt. This glue and sinew creates a bond that's surprisingly strong. This is the atlal, the secret weapon. It literally extends the hunter's arm, increasing leverage and velocity, a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering. It is hard to believe how much power this simple stick could add to a spear throw.
The mammoths not only fed them, but housed them. These massive bones created incredibly strong, stable structures.
And here it is, home, built from the bones of the very giant that sustains them.
Inside, it's a whole different world. It's a sanctuary, carefully designed to conserve heat and keep the family safe from the elements.
A new day begins. Life here is dictated by the sun and the seasons, and the first...
Keeping the fire alive was one of the most important jobs. It was the heart of the home, and letting it go out was not an option.
Daily chores, the rhythm of life. Securing fresh water was a constant task, but
And the world was teeming with life, not just the megafauna. These streams were full of fish and birds, another important source of food if you knew how to get it.
This is how you make preserved meat edible again. Pounding it not only softens it but makes it easier to mix with other ingredients.
This is a prehistoric energy bar, a mix of protein, fat, and vitamins. It was the perfect...
Meals weren't always a great feast. More often, it was this, a practical, no-fuss way to get the calories they need. Their education started early. From the moment they could walk, they were learning the skills they would need as adults. This is how traditions are passed, not through books, but through direct experience. One generation teaching the next, face to face.
And amidst all the hard work, there were these moments of connection. Community wasn't just about hunting together.
It is. His hunt may be over, but his role is as important as ever. He is the camp's memory and its eyes. The hunt for the next meal is always on their minds. They're constantly reading the landscape, looking for patterns, planning their next move.
And there. That's what they were looking for. The mammoth has secured their present, but a successful bison hunt could secure their future.
There's no time to waste. That bison herd is on the move, so the hunters have to be faster.
Rule number 1 of the hunt: master the wind. The bison's sense of smell is their greatest defense, so the hunters have to approach like ghosts.
This is the hardest part, the final approach. One wrong move, one snapped twig.
And there they are, steppe bison, incredibly powerful animals. Taking one down is just as dangerous. They're not looking for a fight with the biggest bull. They're smart. They identify the easiest, most vulnerable target to
But there's a problem. They're not the only ones hunting today. A pack of dire wolves, the other apex predator of this landscape, has the same idea.
This is a complication, a huge one. Now, it is not just a hunt, it is a competition.
Kyle sees them. The plan just changed. Now he has to calculate a whole new set of risks. Is it worth competing with a dozen dire wolves for a single kill? You can just feel the tension. Two of the most successful predators on the planet, locked on the same target. Something has to give. The bison are starting to get nervous. They might not see the danger, but they can feel it. Their finely tuned survival instincts are screaming that something is wrong.
The wolves decide to force the issue. They're masters of coordinated attack, designed to create panic and separate a target from the herd.
Kyle has to act. He can't let the wolves control the hunt. By creating chaos, he's hoping to drive the bison in a direction that benefits his own team.
Total chaos. This is the most dangerous moment. A stampede is a force of nature. One wrong step, and a hunter could be trampled in an instant. And now it's a race. Man versus wolf, both running alongside a river of pure power, each looking for that split-second opportunity to make a kill. Imagine the noise, the sheer ground-shaking power. You're not just running near the stampede, you're a part of it. One slip is all it takes to be erased. In the middle of this mayhem, Kyle is a laser beam of focus. He knows the herd will eventually scatter, so his only chance is to stay with his chosen target.
The wolves are thinking the same thing. They're experts at this, singling out an animal and then letting the pack's pursuit do the work of exhausting it.
It's a direct race now. A human, built for endurance, versus a wolf, built for speed. It all comes down to who can get into striking position first.
Look at that. The level of skill is just incredible. Loading an at while running flat out is like trying to thread a needle in.
That's the power of the atlatl. It multiplies the force of his throw, turning the spear into a deadly projectile. capable of punching through thick hide. A perfect hit. Not a kill shot, but something to slow it down, to separate it from the safety of the herd for good. This is exactly what the wolf was waiting for. A wounded, isolated animal is the perfect target. It moves in to finish the job.
But the hunters aren't giving up their prize. That throw wasn't meant to kill the wolf. It was a message. This one is ours. Back off.
And now the pack responds. The dynamic has shifted completely. It is no longer a hunt. It is a standoff for the spoils. Kyle knows he has only seconds. He takes the killing shot, trying to end the confrontation as quickly as possible.
The bison is down. The hunt is over. But the battle has just begun. Now they have to defend their food.
Instinct takes over. They immediately create a perimeter. They know they can't show any weakness. They have to present a united, dangerous front.
The alpha wolf challenges them directly. It's testing them, looking for any sign of fear or hesitation. This is a battle of nerve.
And Kyle doesn't back down. He meets aggression with aggression. Two apex predators, face to face.
This isn't what the wolf expect. They're used to creatures that run, not ones that stand their ground and fight. Kyle's defiance has given them pause. The entire pack is watching, waiting for their alpha. Will they charge, or will they test the human's resolve with cunning and patience?
It's all about projecting strength. Any sign of weakness would invite an attack. They have to show these wolves that this isn't an easy meal.
But not all wolves are patient. A younger, more reckless one makes a dash for it. This is a classic tactic. No dice. The humans are too sharp. They've dealt with scavengers and predators their whole lives. That wolf learned a hard lesson in boundaries.
Even in a pack of wolves, there's order. The alpha won't tolerate a lone wolf endangering the entire group's strategy. This needs to be a unified front.
Wolves are smart. They know that a fight means potential injury, and an injured wolf is a dead wolf. Plus, these humans are fast.
It's a power play. He's saying this is our kill, we're already processing it. Move on.
They're pressing their advantage, showing off the prize. It's a psychological game. We're going to eat it all, and you'll get nothing if you don't leave.
The message has landed. The alpha knows it. They might win a fight, but it would be bloody, and there are easier meals to be found.
And just like that, they're gone. A victory not won with brute force, but with courage, strategy, and a little bit of intimidation.
You never take chances with predators like that. They might be gone, but they could come back. It's not over until they're out of sight, and then some.
That's the moment of relief. The weight lifts. They've not only made a kill but defended it. They've proven their dominance.
No time to celebrate yet. There's still a job to do. Other scavengers will pick up the scent eventually, so speed is critical.
For the younger ones, this was a baptism by fire. A stark reminder that even at the top of the food chain, with the wolf pack gone, the clock is still ticking. Vultures, bears, other predators, they all smell the kill. This hide is a prime resource. It's smaller than a mammoth's, but more flexible. Perfect for making warmer, more closely fitted clothing.
They're always innovating. Using the hide as a sled saves their backs and allows them to transport more meat in a single trip.
That's the walk home. One of the most exhausting but satisfying feelings in the world. The feeling of carrying.
This time, it's not a once-in-a-season event like the mammoth. This feels more like restocking the pantry.
The work is shared by everyone. The hunter's job is done for the moment, and now the processors take over. It's a seamless, efficient system.
The reward for a hard day's work. Nothing beats the taste of fresh meat after a long and dangerous hunt. It's a taste of victory.
Every successful hunt is about this moment right here, ensuring the next generation is strong, healthy, and safe. That's the bottom line.
The debrief. Every hunt becomes a story, and every story is a lesson. He's explaining the choices they made, the risks they took.
He's not just telling them what happened, he's showing them. This is a survival seminar. This is how you stand your ground. This is how you win without a fight.
And you can see it sinking in. They're learning that a hunter's greatest tool isn't always the spear, but the mind.
The bison hide is much easier to process. It can be turned into leather much faster, meaning new clothes,
Life is a constant cycle of use and repair. Old clothes wear out, and new resources provide the opportunity to replenish their gear.
And the larder is refilled.
They maintain a surplus. They know that a successful hunt today is no guarantee of a meal next week.
For them, these animals were more than just food and resources. They were powerful spirits, worthy of respect. A successful life here wasn't just about hunting big game. That was the boom, but the bust was always a risk.
Their knowledge of botany was encyclopedic. They knew which roots were packed with calories, where to find them, and when they were best to harvest. Eat. This education was vital. Knowing the difference between an edible plant and its poisonous look-alike was a life or death.
And they had a whole pharmacy growing around them. Things like willow bark contained salicylic acid, the active.
This is what a balanced diet looked like in the Ice Age. The meat provided the fat and protein, but these plants offered the essential vitamins and minerals.
Hunting wasn't always a dramatic chase across the plains. Sometimes, it was a game of patience, of absolute stillness.
The precision is incredible. He's accounting for the refraction of the water, the speed of the fish. It's a remarkably difficult skill that he makes look effortless.
They also hunted passively. Traps like this could work for them while they were busy with other tasks. It was a way of maximizing their food-gathering efficiency. It might not be a mammoth, but a handful of these rabbits could feed a family for a day. In the long run, vengeance. And this is the result. A diverse, flavorful meal, drawn from all corners of their environment. They never stayed in one place for too long. The world was always changing, and they had to change with it, constantly explore. A cave was a huge find. It could be a shelter from storms, a defensive position, or a sacred place.
And they find a sign. They weren't the first ones here. You can imagine the feeling, finding a connection to unknowns.
So Lisa, maybe it was the sense of history, of sanctuary, but something about this place inspired him to leave his own legends. And so he begins. He isn't just drawing an animal. He's capturing its essence, its spirit. They brought color to the darkness. Using minerals from the earth, they created a vibrant palette to bring their stories to life.
The whole story is there. The mammoth, the bison, the hunters, the wolves. It's a record, a celebration.
In the dancing light of the torch, the art comes alive. For a moment, they can relive the terrors.
Their world was governed by forces far greater than any mammoth. And a storm on the open plains.
The shelter, built from the bones of one giant, now protects them from another. Inside, they are safe and warm. This rain would make the grass grow, which would feed the bison, which would feed them. They understood this cycle. They were a part of it. And after the storm comes the peace. A stillness settles over the world, a moment of profound calm and beauty. But the night had one more wonder to reveal, something they could never predict or explain. A silent fire in the sky.
At the end of the day, they weren't just survivors. They were watchers of the sky, children of this wild, beautiful, and...
You never knew what you would find out here. A cave like this could be a shelter, a den for a predator, or something much more important.
Stepping inside is like entering another world. It's quiet, still, and feels ancient. You can understand why these places were considered sacred.
And then, he finds this. A message from the past. They weren't the first people here. It's a finding that art inspired him to leave his own mark. To say, we were here too. This was our story. And so he tells the story of his own time. The story of the great mammoth, the animal that fed his family and gave... Their world was governed by forces they couldn't control. A storm like this was a terrifying and awesome display of nature's power. And in moments like these, you can really appreciate their ingenuity. This home, built from the bones of a giant, was... But the night had one more spectacle to offer. Something they could never predict or explain. Can you even imagine seeing this without any scientific explanation? It must have seemed like pure magic.
It's a moment that reminds them of their place in the universe. Small, fragile.
After the long, hard winter, the world just explodes with life. This is the Pleistocene summer.
For the kids, it must have been magical. After months of snow and gray, suddenly they're...
The great herds are on the move, following the green grass north. And where the herds go?
This camp served them well, but it was never meant to be permanent. They were nomadic, their lives tied to the migrations of the great herds.
They would leave the heavy bones behind, a marker on the landscape. Perhaps they would return next. And so they're back on the road. This is the true rhythm of their lives, a constant movement. In summer, the shelters are different. They are lightweight, mobile. Everything is geared towards speed and efficiency.
Rivers were the highways and the roadblocks of the ancient world. Crossing one like this was a serious challenge.
The annual fish run. For a few weeks, the rivers would be so full of fish that you could almost walk across them. It was
And it wasn't just fish. Birds flocked to these summer wetlands to nest. Their eggs were a rich...
Food like this was a gift of the summer. Fresh, easy to find, and a welcome change from the dried meat they relied on during the winter.
And then, a sign. They're not alone out here. Another group, another family, passed this way just a few days ago. You have to wonder what they thought. Were these people friends, strangers, competitors for the same resources? It's like finding a message from a ghost. A confirmation that the world is bigger than just your own family. This is a pivotal moment. The world is getting a little smaller, a little more crowded. Okay, you have to recalibrate your sense of scale for this world. That's a giant ground sloth. They were absolutely...
They weren't typically aggressive, but you still wouldn't want to get too close. An animal that big could be dangerous without even meaning to be.
The rule of the plains was simple. You don't bother them, they don't bother you. They just let the giant be, and continued on their way.
And then you'd see this. Horses. They actually originated here in the Americas before going extinct at the end of the Ice Age.
They were a source of food, yes, but you can't help but feel they also just stopped to watch them sometimes. They were just so beautiful and wild.
And then things get weird. That is a glyptodon. Basically, a 2,000-pound armored tank that eats plants. I mean, what would you even think if you saw that? It's like something out of a fantasy novel. But it was a real animal they shared the landscape with.
And a smart lesson for a young hunter. You have to know what you can hunt, and what you can't. And you definitely can't pierce that armor.
The giants weren't just on the ground. The skies were ruled by teratorns. These massive birds were the cleanup crew.
Environments like this are a double-edged sword. They're rich in resources, but they also provide perfect cover for predators. You have to be extra vigilant.
This looks like a perfect crossing. Easy access, shallow water. But in this world, the perfect spot for you...
Her eyes are so sharp. She spots something that Kyle, focused on the path ahead, completely missed.
And Sintel. And there it is, the apex predator. A saber-toothed cat. Not a lion, not a tiger. That's the moment. A silent understanding. Neither is hunting the other right now, but both recognize the power and danger.
That's her. This isn't a battle to be fought. Kyle is smart enough to know that. He cedes the territory. Today, this crossing...
You feel that adrenaline drain out of you. That's a close call. But survival in this world is all about knowing when to fight, and when to walk away.
There's always another way. Sometimes it's harder, but it's always better than facing down a saber-toothed tiger over a river crossing. These were the unspoken bonds of family and community. You relied on each other, literally, to get across. Everyone plays their part.
This is what they're looking for. A more varied landscape means more resources, more cover, more opportunities.
Summer camps were about speed and flexibility. They could pack up and move in a matter of hours if the game moved, or if a better resource appeared.
Everyone had chores, even the little ones. Gathering fuel for the fire was a constant, everyday task, even in summer.
As summer peaks, the berries ripen. This is a crucial time for foraging. These berries,
Cranberries, blueberries, chokecherries. A burst of natural sugar and vitamins. They would dry these,
Crunch lacing. Hunting wasn't just about spears. Smart hunters used the landscape itself as a weapon.
A passive hunter's triumph. It meant less risk, less energy expended, and another vital source of food and materials for the community.
This is hands-on learning. Every successful hunt was a classroom, teaching the next generation about biology, butchery, and respect for the animal.
Deer hide was valuable for its versatility. Softer, lighter, perfect for moccasins or summer clothes where warmth wasn't the absolute priority. The marrow was a prized delicacy, pure fat and protein. It was a vital source of energy, especially important for growing children.
Summer was a time of relative ease. Less struggle against the elements, more time for the quiet.
Even in the height of summer, the shadow of winter looms. Every action, every meal, every prepared hide is a...
Summer is fading. You can feel it in the air. For the hunters, this means one thing. The caribou are moving south.
They weren't just hunting animals, they were hunting the landscape itself. They knew how to use cliffs, rivers, and valleys.
Once the plan is locked in, everything changes. There's a different energy, a focus that spreads through the entire community. The great hunt is about to begin.
This is the briefing. Everyone needs to know their role, from the most experienced hunter to the oldest child. This kind of hunt only works if everyone acts as one.
He's showing them how they'll guide the herd, where the hunters will wait, where the drivers will be. It's a complex, coordinated... Look at their faces. There's no fear, just focus. They've done this before. This is a tradition, a deep knowledge. These are drive lanes. They function like a giant funnel. Each pile of rock, called an inukshuk in some cultures, when you see it from above, you really appreciate the scale and the intelligence behind it. They literally reshape their environment to fit their strategy. For a hunt this big, you need an arsenal. They're preparing for a massive number of animals, knowing they'll only have one chance to get it right. It wasn't all spears. In the close confines of the trap, simpler weapons were also needed. It was going to be chaotic and dangerous.
Everything is ready. Everyone is in position. The entire world seems to be holding its breath. They might wait here for hours.
He's watching, waiting for the lead animals to commit, to step inside the funnel. Once they do, there's no turning back. And there they are, right on schedule, right on the predicted path. The first animals are about to enter the trap. The great hunt is about to begin.
This is the critical moment. If the lead animals spook and turn back, the whole hunt fails.
But now the drivers reveal themselves. Their job is to create a terrifying wall that the caribou won't dare to cross. Everyone is a hunter today. Their courage keeps the 1,000-pound animals from breaking the line and stampeding over them. It's dangerous, coordinated work. From above, you can see the genius of it. They've turned the herd's greatest defense, its size and numbers. The panic becomes contagious. The animals at the front can sense the trap, but the pressure from behind is immense. They can't stop. They can hear it before they see it. The sound of 1,000 animals stampeding. This is the most dangerous moment of all.
The trap is sprung. The led animals hit the dead end, and the ones behind pile into them. It's a scene of absolute chaos and confusion.
And now the hunters strike. From their safe positions above, they can be precise and effective, minimizing their own risk while maximizing the harvest. This isn't a frenzy. It's a harvest. Every movement is deliberate, honed by years of practice. It's over in a matter of minutes. The rest of the herd has been diverted and is thundering away in the distance.
Actually, the scale of it is almost hard to comprehend. This single event will provide them with thousands of pounds of meat, dozens of hides.
When the rest of the group arrives, the same feeling washes over them. This is more than just food. This is security.
That's the look. The moment he knows, for sure, that his family will make it through the coming winter. And for the next generation, a lesson they will never forget. This is what people can achieve when they work.
In a world of giants, they were small and vulnerable. But with their intelligence, their cooperation, and their incredible...
There's no way to move this much meat. So you move the camp to the meat. For the next few weeks, this valley will be their home and their factory.
This is an explosion of coordinated work. Every single animal has to be skinned, gutted, and quartered. The sheer scale of it is hard to imagine.
They work like a well-oiled machine, separating the resources. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will be wasted.
Now it's all about preservation. They're making enough jerky to last for months. The constant smoke will keep flies away and cure the meat, ensuring it doesn't spoil.
And the hides. So many hides. This is the source of new clothes, new blankets, new shelters.
These skills were the bedrock of their culture, taught not in words, but by watching and doing, passed from one generation to the next.
Even in the middle of all this work, they take care of each other. The best food goes to the workers to keep their strength up. They know this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Day after day, the work goes on. It's an exhausting, all-consuming task. But and then, a sign. The colors are changing. Summer is officially over. They can see the first frost. It's a beautiful sight, but it's also a warning. The deep cold. This is the wealth of a nation. Enough preserved food to see them through the harshest winter. Now they just have to store it safely.
You can't carry all this food with you, so you create a cache. A hidden pantry, dug into the frozen ground.
Even the antlers are a treasure. This is the raw material for a whole new generation of tools. They're stocking up the workshop for the long winter nights.
They're burying their future, their life insurance. The location of these caches was one of the most important pieces of knowledge a group could possess.
The harvest is complete. The larder is full, and they are close.
And just as quickly as it appeared, the camp vanishes. They leave nothing behind but bone and ash, disappearing back into the landscape. As the ice begins to loosen its grip, new possibilities emerge. The movement of smaller animals signals a shift in their hunting strategy. No more waiting for giant herds. Now it's about agility, stealth, and adapting to the faster, smaller targets that emerge with the warmer weather.
Every tool had a purpose. For smaller game, you needed precision, not power. Their craftsmanship was key to their survival.
Even play was practice. From a young age, every skill they learned was about honing their abilities for the challenges of their future lives.
The seasons demand different skills. Now it's about being fast, silent, and precise, moving through the thawing landscape like a shadow.
As the sun sets, you can feel the world waking up. The long, harsh winter is finally giving way.
The first snow. For many creatures, it's a death sentence. But for them, it's just a homecoming. After months of travel, they're back. Back to the place that kept them safe before. In a world...
They move with practiced efficiency. Everyone knows the process. Every knot, every...
Snow was both an enemy and an ally. Piled against the walls, it becomes an incredible insulator. It's another...
And the heart of the home is rekindled. That first flame, after a long journey, was... This is the payoff for all that work in the autumn. A hot meal in a warm shelter.
With the hunt on hold, winter was the season for crafting. Time to repair old tools and...
The work never truly stopped. The hides harvested in the fall were now being transformed into the clothing that would keep them alive through the coldest months.
The long nights were filled with stories. This was their library, their history, their religion.
This is how you learn. Through failure and guidance. The skills were too important to leave to chance. Even in the deep of winter, they didn't rely solely on their stored food. Trapping small game was a constant...
This is the long darkness. A time when the world seems to shrink down.
And then the real enemy arrives. The winter storm. A blizzard like this could rage for days.
This is the ultimate test of their craftsmanship. Every seam, every knot, every bone is now straining against...
Fear was a constant companion, but they couldn't let it rule them.
In the heart of the storm, in the deepest dark, they feed the flame. a small, defiant act of humanity. Day bleeds into night and back into day. Time loses its meaning. Keeping the mind occupied was just as important as keeping the body warm. Boredom and despair were enemies just as dangerous as the cold. Every piece of firewood, every lump of dried moss or dung was carefully rationed. And then, what they feared most: a breach. Even a small hole can be a catastrophe.
They have to fix it, now! In the middle of the storm, with freezing fingers and blinding snow, they have to stitch—
Crisis averred. It's a small victory against the storm, but it feels enormous. They've defended their home and won. After the fear comes the calm. The simple act of creating something beautiful is an act of defiance. This is how they restored their peace of mind, by focusing on a single creative act.
And then, a change, a quiet. The storm is breaking.
The world outside has been completely transformed. The sheer amount of fallen snow is reflecting the daylight.
They were not just trapped by the wind, but buried by the snow. Now they have to dig their way back into the world.
It's like being reborn, crawling from the darkness of the shelter back into the light of the world. Imagine seeing this, a world erased. All the landmarks, all the tracks, all the color. That's the feeling of survival. The first breath of fresh air after being trapped. The simple joy of seeing the sun again. They made it.
For the parents, it's relief. For the children, it's a playground. The storm that was their prison. To travel in a world like this, you need the right technology. Snowshoes. They distribute your weight, allowing you to walk on top.
This is a calculated risk. They have to travel far from the safety of the shelter to check their traps and food stores.
Every departure was a moment of uncertainty. They were heading into a frozen wilderness, and there was never a guarantee they would make it back.
It's grueling work, like walking on sand for miles and miles, with the intense cold and blinding sun as your...
How do you navigate a world with no landmarks? You have to have a map of the land. This is bad news. It means the small game has vanished. Their reliance on their stored food has just become even more absolute.
And then, a sign of the top predator, the saber-toothed. But these tracks tell a story. The cat is struggling.
Even the most powerful predator on the continent is struggling. The blizzard has been a great equalizer.
Seeing the Smilodons struggle reinforces their own vulnerability. It makes them realize how incredibly important their own foresight, their own food cache, really is.
This is the moment of truth. Did they remember the location correctly? And more importantly, did their cache survive?
That's the sound of success. The sound of survival. Their planning and hard work months ago is about to pay off.
And there it is. Their future. Perfectly preserved. The sight of all that food safe and secure.
They take only what they need for the next few weeks. They'll return here again.
With his mission accomplished, he takes one last look from the high ground. A moment of peace in a world of struggle. He's not looking for anything in particular, just reading the landscape. But his eyes, trained. His mind races, trying to process what he's seeing. In this world of horizontal lines, this one thing is vertical.
And then he understands. It's smoke. Not from a wildfire, but a single controlled column. The people who made it in the summer. Imagine that feeling. After thinking you are the only souls in this vast, frozen world, you discover you have neighbors.
The mission has changed. It's no longer just about food. It's about the single most important discovery of his life. He has to tell the others.
How do you even explain something like this? There are no words for it. Only a shared understanding of what that single, distant sign means.
And now 2 of them have seen it. It's real. They are not alone. The solitude of their existence has been shattered.
This discovery raises 1,000 questions. Are they friendly? Are they competitors? Do they have resources his family needs?
Suddenly, the cold doesn't seem so biting. The journey not so long. They are fueled by a new energy. The energy of
That smoke is a signal, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. And it pulls at the very core of...
They push on, racing the fading light. The news they carry is too important to wait.
Even with their urgent news, the realities of winter command respect. You don't travel at night.
You can imagine the conversation, the possibilities,
Yes.
the what-ifs. A discovery this big would keep them awake all night, their minds racing.
His world has just doubled in size. The journey home is no longer the end of a mission.
The return home. After a long, dangerous journey, the sight of the shelter is the most welcome thing in the world. First, the immediate needs are met. The food is secure, the hunters are safe. This is the familiar rhythm of their lives, the comforting routine.
But something is different. They can all feel it. The hunters are carrying a story that's much bigger than just a trip to the food cache. And now, the council begins. A discovery this important has to be shared, debated, and understood by the...
He doesn't use words. He uses a map, a picture, the most universal language. He shows them.
The message is delivered. The confirmation of the footprints they saw in the summer. They are not alone in this world. And this changes everything.
For a mother, the first thought is always safety. Other people aren't an opportunity. They are a potential...
The elder is the keeper of their history. He knows the stories, passed down through generations, of meeting. His companion confirms the story. He adds the details. This isn't a ghost. It's a real, thriving community, just like their own. The debate is silent but clear. Protection versus potential. The fear of the unknown clashing with the need to understand.
Kyle brings up the hardest truth. Their group is small. Too small to survive in the long run. Without new blood, their family line will eventually die out.
That is the argument that changes everything. It reframes the discussion from short-term risk.
The elder agrees. The wisdom of age acknowledges the needs of the future. The debate is over. The decision is made.
They are united. The fear is still there, but now it's outweighed by a sense of purpose, a mission that could define their future.
For the first time in generations, their world is about to get bigger. A journey into the unknown begins. This wasn't a hunt. It was a diplomatic mission into the unknown. They chose a small party for speed and stealth, equipped with their very best gear. The food they carried had to provide the maximum amount of energy for the minimum amount of weight. This was the fuel that would power their journey across the ice. In this cold, exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Their clothing was their armor, a personal shelter they carried with them at all times. This is the moment of departure, a step into a world of pure speculation. Will they return with friends, with knowledge, or not at all? No words were needed. They both understood the risks and the necessity of the mission. And so they walk, out of the safety of their valley, and into the great, empty unknown.
Every step was a potential danger. A hidden crevasse, thin ice, a sudden change in the weather. The landscape itself was a constant adversary.
At night, the temperature would plummet to unimaginable lows. Without the warmth of the main shelter and the big fire. Day after day, they pushed on, fueled by their mission. Their endurance is almost superhuman.
The first real proof. The people they are looking for passed this way.
It's one thing to see smoke. It's another to hold the physical proof in your hand. The abstract has become real. They are getting closer. And then, they see it again. No longer a distant rumor, but a clear beacon. The
final approach. This is the most dangerous part. They have no idea how these strangers will react to being discovered. A wrong move here could be fatal.
Inch by inch, they close the distance.
This is it. The moment of truth. The end of a journey that started with a single footprint in the mud.
And there they are, a whole other community, more people than he's ever seen in one place in his entire life. He has found them.
They look like them. The same skills, the same struggles, the same rhythms of life.
And there it is. No longer a distant rumor, but a clear beacon. The end of their journey is in sight.
The final approach. This is the most dangerous part. They have no idea how these strangers will react to being discovered. A wrong move here could be fatal.
Inch by inch, they close the distance. Every sense is on high alert, their hearts pounding in their chests. What will they find on the other side of this hill?
This is it. The moment of truth.
And there they are. A whole other community. More people than he's ever seen in one place in his entire life. He has found them.
They look like them. The same skills, the same struggles, the same rhythms of life.
He had set out to find a ghost, a rumor of smoke. But what he found was the future. He had found humanity. He had set out to find a ghost, a rumor of smoke on the horizon. But what he found was the future. He had found humanity. They settle in for a long watch. From here, they can study the strangers, learn their rhythms, their habits, their nature.
And then, a complete shock. Dogs. Or at least, wolves on their way to becoming dogs.
But that advantage works both ways. The dog's senses are far sharper than a human's. Their hiding spot is not as secret as they thought. The clock is ticking.
Too close. They got lucky. But it's a stark reminder that they can't stay here forever. They have to make a decision soon.
That has to be the hardest part. Huddled in the freezing dark, watching the warmth and safety of the camp below. He's processing everything he's seen. Their numbers, their tools, their dogs, their peaceful nature. He's putting together a... The observation is over. The decision is made. He's not going to sneak in. He's not going to attack. He has a different plan.
He studies their technology. Their tools are different, but the principles are the same. He recognizes them for what they are.
They are a team. They trust his leadership. They know the risks are immense, but the potential reward, a future for their people, is worth it.
The timing is crucial. Approaching at dawn or dusk could be seen as an ambush. Midday is the time of least threat, the time of honest intentions.
This is the most important part of the plan. They will approach unarmed. It's a huge risk.
The next few moments will determine everything. It is a step into the great unknown.
This is the point of no return. An act of profound trust, not in the strangers, but in his own plan.
They are now committed, willingly walking unarmed towards a group of complete strangers.
And so it begins. The longest walk of his life. Every step is a risk.
Their body language is their only shield. No sudden moves, no aggressive postures. They are trying to communicate peace with every fiber of their being.
And there it is. The first moment of contact. Not with a warrior or a hunter, but with a child.
The alarm. The sound that every human, in every culture, instantly recognizes.
Their reaction is instantaneous, drilled by a lifetime of survival. Protect the family, assess the threat, and...
They stop. Any closer would be seen as a challenge. Now, a silent negotiation must take place across...
This is the wall they have to get past. Not a wall of stone, but a wall of determined, armed men who have every reason to suspect the worst.
The first gesture. We are not a threat. It's the oldest and most important message in human diplomacy. But will it be understood?
The other leader emerges. He's assessing them, judging their intent, his mind racing through the same calculations Kyle's was. Is this a trick? A trap?
Two leaders, two families, separated by a few yards of snow and 1,000 years of isolation.
Another gesture, even more powerful. Kneeling. Offering a gift.
The gift is offered. A thing of beauty and value. It's a sign of respect, demonstration of skill.
This is the moment of decision. Every instinct is telling him this could be a trick, a clever ambush.
He's weighing the survival of his family. An alliance could mean strength, new knowledge, a better future. A conflict could mean
the first sign, a gesture of control, not aggression. He has decided to explore this situation further, to not let fear make the decision for him.
a de-escalation. A small but hugely significant step. They are showing that they are willing to live. This is an act of immense bravery. He is matching Kael's vulnerability with his own, showing that he too is...
He's still reading every detail of Kael's body language, looking for any sign of deception, any hint of a hidden threat.
The mirror gesture, kneeling. It's a sign of mutual respect. He is saying, I understand your gestures.
And now, the gift speaks. Its quality, its artistry, tells him everything he needs to know.
A tool like this could be the difference between a successful hunt and a broken spear. In their world, this isn't just art.
The first invitation, a gesture of equality. He is saying, rise, meet me on my level. Let us now talk as leaders.
He can finally breathe. The first and most dangerous barrier has been crossed.
The ultimate gesture of trust. An invitation into the heart of their home. To share a fire with a stranger. He accepts the invitation. He will go in alone, another gesture of trust. He is stepping out of his own world. This is the moment of maximum vulnerability. He is now inside their defensive perimeter, completely at their mercy. He is a stranger in a strange land, but he's also an expert observer. He's noticing everything. To them, he is something from another world, a figure from a story suddenly made real. It's the first time.
The fire, the heart of every human settlement. It's a place of warmth, of community, of safety.
Azelius, the entire camp has become an audience. This is a public negotiation, a communal decision.
And now, a new player enters the scene. In many of these societies, the elders, especially the women,
the offering of food. This is the ultimate test of trust. To accept and eat another's food. He knows this is the real key. More important than the gift, more important than any gesture. To refuse would be. He accepts. A simple act, but it speaks volumes. He is showing that he is willing to place his life.
The bridge is crossed. By sharing their food, he has symbolically become part of their circle, if only for this moment. A bond has been forged.
You can feel the entire camp exhale. The danger has passed. The stranger has shown.
Her test is complete. Her approval given.
Aran. And now, the first word. A name. The most basic and powerful form of communication.
Kael, Aran. Two names spoken across a fire. With that simple exchange, the
Kael.
It's a clumsy attempt, but it's a profound one. The effort to speak another's name is an effort to understand.
Now the communication becomes more complex. It's a pigeon of gestures and signs, a language being invented in the moment. They are sharing the most valuable information they have, knowledge of the land. A map is a tool of immense power. When they see the length of his journey, they understand the commitment, the desperation that drove him.
Aaron is also sharing information. He's showing Kael his strength, not as a threat, but as a statement of fact. We are strong, we are successful, we are many.
Children are often the bravest diplomats. Their curiosity is stronger than their fear. They are the first to start breaking down the invisible walls.
He knows he's an object of fascination and fear. His calm demeanor is crucial. He has to show that
she's noticing the cultural differences, the way he makes his clothes, the materials he uses. It's the beginning of a genuine...
The invitation is extended. It's time to bring the rest of the strangers out of the cold. It's another step in building trust.
Bring them in!
Ha-ooh!
Now their companions can finally come down from the freezing ridge. But their arrival will be another test of the fragile new peace.
Aaron's presence as a host changes everything. He is vouching for the strangers, using his authority to ensure their peaceful reception.
Reunited. The first phase of their mission is a complete success. They have made peaceful contact and been accepted as guests. Now they begin to share their knowledge. These people seem to be masters of trapping, with a sophisticated understanding of engineering.
And Kael's people have their own advantages. The Atlal is a powerful force multiplier.
And of course, human connections begin to form. This is the whole reason for Kael's journey, to find other people, to ensure.
She is a person of skill and status, just like him. A maker, a provider.
And that's how it begins. Not with a great speech or a treaty, but with a simple, shared glance.
Now their companions can finally come down from the freezing ridge. But their arrival will be another test of the fragile new peace. Look at this scene. Look at this scene. Just a few hours ago, they were ready to kill each other. Now they are sharing a fire. Instruments. His journey into the unknown didn't just bring back food or safety. It brought back the most valuable resource of all. And so the exchange begins. Not of goods, but of knowledge. The Atlal is a revolution in hunting techniques. But the hosts had their own areas of expertise. Their mastery of bone carving and trapping was a revelation.
For the children, there are no politics, no ancient suspicions. They don't see strangers, they just see new friends.
They are building a dictionary of gestures and sounds, reconnecting the threads of a human language that had been separated for thousands of years.
And amidst the Grand Alliance, a personal connection deepens. The survival of a people is not an abstract idea.
A gift for a gift. A sign of personal respect, of an alliance that is becoming more.
It's the only logical step. To remain separate would be foolish. Together, their chances of survival, of thriving.
This is the final seal on the alliance. Aaron isn't just allowing Kael's family to join. He is actively helping.
Eases. The journey back will be just as hard, but the mindset is completely different. Before, they were walking into the unknown. A promise is made. A future is planned. Now, he just has to survive the journey, once more, to make it a reality.
And look at them now. Not just visitors, not just hosts. They are the first members of a new tribe, a blend of two traditions.
The farewell is not one of fear, but of celebration. They are sending their ambassadors off on a mission to gather the rest of their family.
They walk with a new strength, a new confidence. They are no longer alone in the world. They are part of something bigger now.
The time has come. He can't stay here forever. He has to go back for his family, to bring them into this new, larger world. Robert, this is the final seal on the alliance. Aaron isn't just allowing Kael's family to join. He is actively helping.
A promise is made. A future is planned. Now, he just has to survive the journey.
And look at them now. Not just visitors, not just hosts. They are the first members of a new unit. The farewell is not one of fear, but of celebration. They are sending their ambassadors off on a mission to gather the rest of their new family. They walk with a new strength, a new confidence. They are no longer alone in the world. They are part of something bigger now. For generations, humanity had been scattered, small bands against a world of ice and giants. The instinct is to rush, to announce yourself. But Kael's training, his entire life's experience, and they won't come empty-handed. Not with a weapon, but with a gift. A demonstration of their skill, their...
The dogs act as a living alarm system, and a first line of defense. Their aggression adds a terrifying layer of danger to the scene.
His men are ready for war. All it would take is one word, one signal from him, and this peaceful snow would be stained.
The nod. The deal is sealed. The tension that has been stretched to the breaking.
He is now a guest. A very tentative, highly scrutinized guest. He has to show that he is...
The two leaders now sit as equals. A gift for a gift. Hospitality for respect.
And the first thing they learn is this. They are people. Not monsters, not spirits. Just people.
The journey back is different. It is no longer a desperate push into the unknown. With their new allies,
And the learning continues. These small differences in technology, in knowledge, add up to a huge advantage. They are already becoming one group, sharing their supplies, their culture, their food. The old boundaries are beginning to dissolve. Their combined skills are formidable. The Atlal provides the range, the local knowledge provides the strategy. This fresh meat is a bonus, a welcome boost of energy for the final leg of their journey. It's a testament to their new, combined strength. He's back in his own territory. The great unknown is now a known quantity. The faint, mysterious. Now it's their turn to be the strangers, the explorers. They are about to see the home of Kael's people for the first time. The last few miles are always the longest, but they are driven by the story they have to tell, a story that will change the lives of everyone they know.
And for those left behind, the waiting is its own trial. Every day brings a
The whole family is on a quiet alert. Life goes on, the daily chores must be done.
She sees them. And in an instant, her world is turned upside down.
The news spreads through the camp in a heartbeat. They're back, but they've brought strangers with them. The possibilities are terrifying and wonderful. He immediately moves to calm their fears. His first responsibility is to his own family, to let them know that this incredible change is a good one.
Dress. The reunion is a storm of emotion. But even in this personal moment, the presence of the strangers hangs in the air.
And now, the story must be told. The story of the smoke, the journey, the standoff, and the alliance. The fire that has been the center of their small world is now the place where that world is about to expand forever.
Without a shared language, this is how history was passed on. Through performance, through art, through a... He's not just telling them what happened, he's telling them what it means. A chance for their children to grow up in a larger, safer... The strangers are no longer just a story. They are here, offering a gift of their own. It solidifies the alliance. The final barrier is down. Hospitality is offered and accepted. They are no longer two groups.
The bonds of the new community are being woven, not by the leaders, but by the children. Through simple play, they are becoming one people.
They see that Kael's people are also strong, also successful. It's a meeting of equals, each with their own strengths. Hope has returned to the winter camp. The crushing isolation of the long darkness has been broken by the promise of a larger world.
They have heard the story. They have met the strangers. Now, a choice must be made.
He is asking them to abandon the only home they have ever known, to leave the graves of their ancestors, their familiar...
It's a powerful argument. Survival is a numbers game. A larger group means more hunters, better defense.
This is their whole world. To leave it is to step off the edge of the map. It requires an immense leap of faith. The final word belongs to the elder. He is their link to the past, and his blessing is needed to step into the future. He knows that to stand still is to wither, to survive is to adapt, to move, to embrace change. And with that nod, 1,000 years of tradition in this valley comes to an end, and a new...
The decision is made. The path's clear. Now, the Great Migration must begin.
How do you pack up a whole lifetime? You take what matters most, the tools that ensure your survival.
And their new friends are already proving their worth, sharing their knowledge, lightening the load, and making the impossible journey seem possible. A final farewell. A moment of gratitude for the home that kept them safe, and a moment of courage as they turn towards the unknown. They walk away from their past and into their future. A small, brave band of pioneers.
The Great Migration. Not a journey of warriors, but of people.
They carry the weight of their entire world on their backs, and on these simple sleds. The tools.
For the parents, the journey was a double burden. They had to fight their own exhaustion while
The dangers of the journey were ever present. A sudden storm could be a death sentence if you weren't prepared, if you didn't work together. And here, in the heart of the storm, the Alliance proves its worth. The new knowledge of how to build a proper winter shelter saves them. But even with their combined strength, the journey was brutal. For the very old and the very young, it pushed the absolute limits of human endurance.
Death was a constant companion, a part of life. There was no shame in succumbing to the journey.
They leave a part of their family, a part of their history, behind in this frozen land. They could not stop. To stop was to die.
And then, the promised land. The end of the road. They have made it.
But even with their combined strength, the journey was brutal.
They knew she wouldn't finish the journey. There was no medicine, no miracle, only the comfort of her family at the end of a long life.
Death was a constant companion, a part of life. There was no shame in succumbing to the... They leave a part of their family, a part of their history, behind in this frozen land.
They could not stop. To stop was to die. They carried their grief with them, turning it into a silent strength that pushed them forward. But even in grief, life asserts itself. The resilience of the human spirit, especially in children, is an incredible thing to see.
That sound, the sound of their children laughing, was the fuel that kept them going.
They are on the final stretch, entering the lands of their new family. Every step now brings them closer to the safety of home. The old boundaries are completely gone. There is no us and them anymore. They are simply one people. They started this journey as a small, isolated family. They have endured hardship, loss,
and then, the promised land. The end of the road.
They have made it! The signal is sent. Not a warning of strangers this time, but a joyful announcement of family returning.
The welcome, not as strangers, but as long-lost kin. All the hardship of the journey melts away in the warmth of this reception. The two halves become a whole. A new, larger, and more powerful tribe is born here, in this sheltered valley. Their great migration is over. They have walked out of their past and into a shared future. Their new life, together, is about to begin. The welcome, not as strangers, but as long-lost family. All the hardship of the journey melts away in the warmth of this reception.
The two halves become a whole. A new, larger, and more powerful tribe is born here, in this sheltered valley.
Trades in. This is the celebration of survival, of community, of hope. A celebration of a future that, This is the celebration of survival, of community, of hope. A celebration of a future. And what better way to cement a new community than to share a feast? It's the most ancient and universal symbol of peace and friendship. And with the feast comes music. The heartbeat of the new tribe. A rhythm that everyone, no matter, and the stories are shared. The history of one family becomes the history of all. This is how a new culture is born. For the children, this is all just one big, wonderful party. They are the living proof that this incredible risk was worth taking.
Two leaders who chose cooperation over conflict, trust over fear. Their courage and wisdom.
And so they began to build. Not just shelters, but a new society, founded on shared knowledge and mutual respect. And so they began to build. Not just shelters, but a new society, founded on shared knowledge and mutual respect. Their combined strength was incredible. With their different skills and technologies working in harmony, they were the most formidable hunters this land had ever seen. The old knowledge was now shared with everyone. The children of this new tribe were inheriting the wisdom of two families.
It was a two-way street. Every day brought new lessons, new ways of doing things, from
And in these quiet moments, the real bonds were forged. Not between leaders or hunters, but between people.
For the kids, the past didn't matter.
There was no my people or your people. There was only us.
Look at what they built. From two small, vulnerable families, they created a nation, a safe harbor in the middle of the unforgiving Ice Age.
It all came down to a single choice: to see a stranger as a threat or as a possibility. Their decision.
This is what humanity is capable of at its very best. Overcoming suspicion, sharing knowledge. Together, they are strong enough to face threats that neither group could have faced alone. Their new tribe is now the undisputed apex predator of this land. With the tribe established, it was time to build its future. And that future begins, as it always does, with a new family. This wasn't just a gift of clothing, it was a symbol. He was being formally welcomed, not just as an ally, but as a son.
An exchange of gifts, an exchange of culture. Each family was offering the other the best of their skills.
And in that simple, shared look, the alliance of two tribes becomes the foundation of one family. And with the community's blessing, the future is set. This union guarantees the survival of their people for another generation. And they weren't the only ones. Kael's journey to find partners for his people was a success. The new...
These children will grow up never knowing the time when their families were separate. To them, this is the only world there is.
Their partnership was built on more than just ceremony. It was built on a shared life, on mutual respect for each other's skills.
They have found what they were looking for. Not just safety, not just food, but a future.
And in this union, the future is secured. A new family, born from the courage of two clans. But their new home wasn't without its own dangers, and they were about to face the undisputed king of the Ice Age predators, the giant, short-faced bear. They decided they couldn't live in fear. With their combined numbers and skills, they would do the unthinkable. They would hunt the monster. This is the full strength of the new tribe on display. A force of hunters so large and well-equipped, they could face any challenge this world had to offer. The confrontation is here, the final test of their new tribe against the most powerful and terrifying predator of the Ice Age. The great cycle turns once more. But this spring is different. It is not just a season of survival. And with that, the valley was theirs. They had faced the ultimate predator and won, not with just spears. The great cycle turns once more. But this spring feels different. It's not just a season of survival.
They have come full circle. The journey that began with a desperate search has ended in the creation of a new nation.
The world of the great beasts, the megafauna, was coming to an end. The long winter was finally
affluence. The age of giants was over. The age of ice was ending. For a small, clever, and courageous primate,